Of course, he's an underdog against Makhachev, but I truly believe he have a really good skills.
He will come in ready and prepped and ready to absolutely demolish Ian Garry if he doesn't bring his A game and a stellar game plan. The game plan, as I said, will be stick and move.
Ian Garry believes he's going to beat Islam Makhachev. Now, I have a feeling right off the bat, well, of course he does. Every fighter believes they're going to win. No, they don't. That is a myth.
As UFC 330 draws closer, the fighters weigh in with their final predictions on Makhachev versus Garry. Starting with Carlos Paredes' own assessment, he believes Garry has the tools to hang in this fight, though he's quick to acknowledge just how difficult a challenge stepping in with Makhachev truly is.
Of course, he's an underdog against Makhachev, but I truly believe he have a really good skills to beat Makhachev, you know. Of course, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be a hard fight. I think if he would the guy like knock people out a little bit more, he hurt a little bit more, would be like less hard to beat Makhachev, you know. He do a lot of points. He don't hurt people, you know. But I think he have a chance, really good chance, like real chance, you know.
Adding fuel to the fire, Michael Bisping acknowledges Makhachev's status as the pound-for-pound king and a heavy betting favorite, but he pushes back on the assumption that this one will be easy, arguing it could end up being far tougher than most expect.
And I'm telling you right now, this fight for Islam Makhachev may be a lot harder than what people think. Given all of the accolades that Islam Makhachev has, it's easy to just dismiss Ian Garry and say, listen, he's got to just run right through him. Okay, you could send him to Dagestan or Georgia for 20 years and still forget all about it.
Send him 2-3 years Dagestan and forget.
Okay, because Islam Makhachev is the GOAT. He's going to take him down. The man's Irish. They don't wrestle in Ireland, for crying out loud. Well, guess what? He's a well-rounded mixed martial artist. He's 17-1. He had a very, very close fight with Shavkat Rakhmonov. Ended the fight threatening the rear naked choke.
Turning to his own pick, MMA guru admits Makhachev looks like a dominant force and a legitimate GOAT candidate, but he still finds himself leaning toward the underdog, Ian Garry. He points to a broader trend shaping the sport lately as the reasoning behind going against the favorite this time around.
Despite him being against the odds, because we know Islam Makhachev's going to be a favorite here, maybe, just maybe, the Boys & Co do it again. Okay? Hear me out. Strickland pulled it off against Chimaev. Gaethje just pulled off the impossible against Ilia Topuria. And you're telling me that I shouldn't pick Ian Machado Garry to defeat Islam Makhachev in the main event and school him over 5 rounds? Come on! This is how it works, right? This is just the way things go, folks. I don't make the rules of MMA. I really don't. But there's an underdog there. And his name's Ian Machado Garry.
Adding to that, MMA guru frames the fight through a broader perspective, suggesting Garry has a shot at settling the score for Ireland against Dagestan specifically, avenging Khabib's win over McGregor by having Garry get the job done against Makhachev. That underlying storyline seems to factor into why he's leaning toward the underdog in this fight.
And Islam Makhachev's on this GOAT horizon. And man, if he wins this one, we may have to have some uncomfortable conversations about the GOAT list. We've heard it all before. He's in a caucus. He can't be beaten, even though this one's been beaten before. I've seen this guy flatline KO'd, okay? And I'm not supposed to pick Ian Machado Garry here. I'm picking Ian Garry! Ugh. I never thought I'd say those words. But god damn it, I'm picking Ian Garry. And I'm picking Ian Garry to win the world championship, dude. It's McGregor versus Khabib, part 2, Dagestan versus Ireland. A matchup of the ages. They're running it back. This is a very interesting matchup, though, to be honest with you. Islam Makhachev went out there against JDM, held him down for 5 rounds. Now, very impressive to do.
On the subject of his own confidence, Garry states plainly that he believes he'll beat Makhachev, backing his bold prediction without any hesitation or doubt in his voice. It's the kind of statement that's sure to fuel debate, given the gap in styles and experience between the two. But Garry isn't shying away from putting his name on the line.
In an ideal world, I make it look easy. And I don't mean make it look easy and as in it's a walk in the park. I'm well aware of his talents, I'm well aware of his skill set, and I respect, I actually love and respect him and his fighting and what he's done. However, I want this challenge. I want it to be him that I beat to prove I'm the best in the world. Because then there's no doubt, it's undeniable that I'm the greatest. When he grabs a hold of me, I'll have answers to his questions. I'll have answers to his problems, and that will rattle him. And when that rattles and he tries again and he fails and he tries again and he fails, and I'm just punching the face off him every second in between, I do believe I'm going to be able to break him.
Furthermore, Bisping breaks down what makes Garry dangerous on paper, highlighting his reach, distance management, boxing, and fast footwork as legitimate weapons in this matchup. He suggests that if Garry can stick and move, keeping the fight standing and using range to control the pace, it could create real problems for Makhachev on the feet. For Bisping, that stand-up game is exactly where Garry's path to an upset would have to come from.
So as I say, he's on a run. The record of Islam Makhachev is 28 wins and 1 loss with 18 stoppages. And of course, if he can get a hold of Ian Garry and take him down, yeah, it's probably going to be easy. Ian will struggle to get back to his feet, and I don't think he can match Islam in terms of jiu-jitsu or submission grappling, okay? But it's the style that Ian Garry has. It is the length and the reach that he has, and it is his ability to silence out the crowd and not give a damn if you people are booing, and a stellar game plan. The game plan, as I said, will be stick and move. And that might sound boring, but it could get the job done.
Analyzing into the technical side, Joe Rogan and Dustin Poirier break down a unique wrinkle in Makhachev's game, a variation on the Darce choke where, instead of locking onto his own bicep like a traditional version, he locks onto his own forearm and pulls his opponent tight into his chest. Poirier points out that this small adjustment creates an almost immediate blood shutdown, making it noticeably more effective than a standard choke.
Like, you take Charles Oliveira's stats, and then you say his fight with Islam Makhachev, and you say, okay, well, where's the stats? Like, it's really dependent upon skill sets, who's your level of competition, who you're competing with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That was a quick submission, though.
Bro.
The stats are 1 submission attempt, 1 submission.
Bro, he's got a crushing squeeze. Well,
It's different, bro.
To that.
It's different. Yeah. He strangled me. And the way he did it, I think he, Moicano filled in last minute to fight Islam and got caught with the same choke.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a Darce choke, but he locks it on his forearm.
Yeah.
He doesn't go to the bicep.
I know.
And the squeeze is different. He's pulling to his chest. It's not like a angle squeeze. It's different. So the defense is different. When I got my legs out and tried to walk around, he hooked my leg, but like the squeeze was...
Looking ahead, Javier Mendez offers an early take on the matchup against Ian Garry, giving credit to him as a dangerous and rangy striker whose length and movement could make things awkward on the feet. Still, he expresses full confidence that none of that would matter once the fight hits the ground, arguing Garry simply wouldn't be able to survive Makhachev's ground game if it gets there. For Mendez, that gap in grappling is enough to settle the outcome, regardless of how the striking exchanges go.
I feel good about it. He's a well-known guy. He's very highly skilled, you know, and I look forward to the challenge, you know. So, yeah, no, Ian Garry, excuse me, if that's who they pick and that's who Islam wants, no problem. Bring him on the plate, no problem. You know, we'll get ready for Ian Garry. So, but he's good. He's good. I was hoping if he gets anybody, it would be. He wanted Kamaru because he thought that was the toughest stylistic challenge for him. He does well with Islam on the stand-up because he's rangy, he's tricky, all those. But on the ground, he doesn't. He does okay, but he doesn't survive on the ground. I don't think. I mean, well, okay, he might survive 5 rounds, but he won't get the best of Islam on the ground. That I'm 100% sure about that. On the stand-up, he's pretty tricky, so one punch can change everything on that.
When it comes to the welterweight landscape, Mendez names Kamaru Usman as the toughest stylistic test for Makhachev at 170, pointing to his wrestling pedigree and championship experience as the reasons he stands out as the biggest threat in the division. He suggests that a combination of pedigree and grappling smarts is exactly the kind of profile that could give Makhachev the most trouble if that matchup ever came together.
Looks like a heavyweight, right, in that welterweight division.
I think Kamaru is the toughest stylistically for us because he's got great wrestling and experience, and he has good striking also. And I think he stylistically is the toughest. And that doesn't mean that Kamaru beats all the other guys. I'm just saying for us, he stylistically is the toughest. But you know, Ian Garry, he's good, man. We can't sleep on him. Cannot sleep on him. He's very, very good. You know, any one of those guys, you know, Pratis too. I was very impressed with his last fight. Super impressed. So watch out for him too, because you think you're winning, all of a sudden that good, straight, beautiful right cross hits you and out you go. So that guy's very good.
Turning to the trash talk surrounding this fight, there are plenty of comparisons to the historic rivalry between McGregor and Khabib. Makhachev himself brushed off the comparison, dismissing it as a cheap knockoff version of that rivalry. Still, the Barnhill brothers push back on that framing, preferring to view it as the next chapter in an ongoing ongoing rivalry between Ireland and Dagestan. They go a step further, calling this the biggest matchup in the sport since McGregor squared off with Holloway.
It's so funny, Islam Makhachev was asked, and Ariel actually asked Ian kind of about, Islam said basically, this fight, because I guess it was an interview that happened in Russian and it was translated to English, but he was asked, is this the next rendition, in your opinion, of Conor versus Khabib? You know, there's a lot of comparison drawn. Obviously, Islam is Khabib's direct pupil, and as far as Conor and Ian Garry are concerned, they're fellow countrymen, they're both Irish, and Islam said, no, this is the AliExpress version of Khabib versus Conor. Now, for those of us in the United States, we would tend to use the reference of Wish. We would say this is the Wish Conor versus Khabib,
or Temu.
Exactly.
But the
Temu.
Alibaba, AliExpress.
Adding to where things stand in the pound-for-pound rankings, the Barnhill brothers acknowledge Makhachev as the reigning king of the sport, heading into 2026, while still debating whether Garry has the right stylistic tools to actually take him down. Their consensus leans towards skepticism, stressing that Garry would need to be flawless for all 25 minutes to have any real shot at pulling off the win, given how little room for error there tends to be against a champion of that caliber. It's a tall order that underscores just how steep the challenge in front of Garry really is.
It's safe to say that Ian Garry is a very respect-heavy guy, and he will never bash somebody who has achieved so much in the sport like Islam Makhachev has. So I think that even though he's confident, he's not saying like, oh, I'm going to go steamroll the pound-for-pound number one guy in the world. He's going to go out there and fight to the best of his abilities. Technically, I can't wait to get into how this fight's going to look, because I think he's got to manage range to the best of his abilities. He's going to have to be perfect for 25 minutes because he doesn't have that single-shot KO power that a Morales or a Prates has. And Islam Makhachev is very good at solving problems in front of him.
Shifting focus to the welterweight division as a whole, there's discussion around just how deep and competitive 170 pounds has become, with rising threats like Carlos Prates, Michael Morales, and Sean Brady getting name-checked as fighters to watch. One notable thread involves a suggestion about a fellow contender's future, one that's open to interpretation. Read as either genuine advice meant to help, or a strategic move designed to sidestep a tough stylistic matchup down the line.
He's certainly been calling for shots.
But one more thing Ian said that I want to talk about before we move into the next topic is he said that Michael Morales should move to 185. He said, look, there's too much opposition here at 170. I've got unfinished business with Rakhmonov. Prates has done enough to warrant his rematch. Who knows if him and Islam have a close fight? There's potentially a rematch there. And he said, look, you're a young, very sizable guy with some talent. Like, he gave him a little bit of respect, but kind of cut him at the same time. And he was like, if I were you, I would move to 185. There's no big stars in that division. That's where you should go. Now, do you take that as that's a matchup that Ian sees that he doesn't want to deal with?
Here is a key point of emphasis. Chael Sonnen argues that stopping a takedown outright matters less than a fighter's ability to get back up once he's already been taken down. He ties that skill directly to Garry, pointing to how he thrived under pressure in the Rakhmonov fight, and almost won as an evidence that this combination of resilience on the mat and the ability to return to his feet makes him a legitimate threat in this matchup.
Now, I would argue for you that getting out from the bottom is more effective than being able to stop somebody's takedown. That's a loose argument. Maybe I even say it to get your attention to then make my point, but if you want to stop a wrestler from taking you down, get up 3 times. If you get taken down, you got an overwhelming wrestler, you got Jordan Burroughs to deal with, it would not matter. If they take you down 3 times, they use all that effort to get you down, and you get back to your feet, that wrestler is done trying to take you down. It is so effective and so important, right? When a wrestler takes you down, he's got to have a moment there. He has to have a moment. It is the most cardio demanding thing you can do in a fight.
Turning to a broader critique, Sonnen calls out the tendency among fans and pundits to consistently sell fighters like Garry short, arguing it's a pattern that happens far too often in the sport. He insists Garry is actually better than even he gives himself credit for, suggesting he's much closer to the top of the division than his past rankings have ever reflected. For Sonnen, that gap between perception and reality is exactly why people shouldn't be so quick to dismiss him in this fight.
Ian Garry also, here's the problem with Ian. He's better than he thinks he is. You watch Ian, you think he's just brash, confident, Irish man. To an extent. But he's got the right. Ian Garry, if he's not the best in the world, and that's what we're going to find out. If he's not the best in the world, he's top 3. Could you imagine? 6 billion men walk this earth and you can beat up all of them, but maybe 1 or 2. Could you imagine? Ian's that good. He just doesn't know it. I remember when Ian broke into the top 15 and he went and tattooed 15 on his body. I remember looking going.
Beyond the fight itself, Garry opens up about his bigger picture goals, tying his motivation back to family and a deep sense of self-accountability that he holds himself to, regardless of outcomes. He also shares a mission that stretches well beyond this one matchup, expressing a genuine desire to help bring a major UFC event back to Dublin and give his home country another moment on that stage. For Garry, beating Makhachev would be huge on its own, but it's clear the vision he's chasing goes even further than the belt.
In every way, shape and form, I just want to be the best human I possibly can be. I want to be the best fighter I possibly can be. I want to be the best dad I possibly can be. I want to be the best husband I possibly can, because I believe in doing that every day. I want to push myself and be better. And we live in a world where it's so easy to blame and make excuses. I take full accountability on everything that happens in my life, and I'm also raising a little boy who I want to follow in my footsteps and my mentality. Or it doesn't matter what he does, whether he's a fighter, an athlete, or he just has a more simple job. It doesn't matter what he does. I want him to wake up and every day try to be the best version of him. And that's the main thing for me.
Moving on with Ariel Helwani and his panel's overall take, they concede that Makhachev is the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world and the clear betting favorite heading into this one, a status few would dispute. Even so, they still agree that Garry brings a legitimate chance of pulling off the upset, refusing to write him off just because of the gap in resume and reputation. For the panel, that combination of respect for Makhachev and genuine belief in Garry's chances is what makes this matchup worth taking seriously.
I mean, I guess if it's a really quick fight, but
it's not going to be a quick fight, I don't think.
It's not going to be. Do you fancy his chances, PT?
I think he has a chance, absolutely. I think, look, Islam's the best fighter in the world. It's a huge task. He'll test Ian in a way that we thought Bilal would, and he didn't. Yeah, so I'm interested to see how it plays out, but I think Ian can have a lot of success if he sticks to his long range on the outside. Absolutely. Like, you know, we've seen him do this time and time again. It's just a different beast across the cage from. Understandably, Islam is the favorite, but absolutely wouldn't rule Ian Garry out.
Now, about the underdog narrative, Ariel Helwani has long championed the idea that underestimating a fighter can be a costly mistake, a perspective rooted in his own career and his consistent observation that in MMA, belief and circumstance can overcome even the most unfavorable odds. From the very beginning of his career, Helwani has embraced the underdog mentality, both for himself and for the fighters he covers. As a student at Syracuse University, he deliberately chose to forge his own path by covering the fledgling sport of MMA, which at the time was just 8 years old and largely ignored by mainstream outlets.
I think he has the goodest chance of any of the guys in that welterweight ranks. It's just that Islam is just so good.
It's a great point. What about you, GC? You fancy his chances? Do you think he's got a shot?
I don't know if I fancy them. I don't think I'd make him the favorite, but he's certainly live. To Pete's point, there's no definitive outcome that I can say in this sport that I feel good about anymore. With Hamzat losing, Ilia Topuria losing, it's too unpredictable. Everyone has a fighting chance.
I'm happy for Ian. He was the guy to get the shot. Like he had to be the guy. Carlos has been great as of late, but he has a win over Carlos just over a year ago. It had to be him.
Oh, Michael Morales.
Nah, he's had greater wins. He's had a higher profile.
Breaking down the welterweight division, Henry Cejudo outlined how things could unfold at welterweight, suggesting a Garry Makhachev fight is the most likely next step toward the title, given where both men currently stand. He also makes clear he's not shying away from a matchup with Michael Morales, expressing genuine openness to that fight as a way to further stake his own claim to the belt and stay in the mix. For Prates, staying active against a name like Morales could be just as valuable to his title case as waiting on the winner of Garry Makhachev.
No, well, right now, Carlos, I mean, obviously the landscape at 170 pounds, it's always been 135 pounds and 170 that I feel like has gotten like the most attention. But right now, it's a bit tricky at 170 pounds because we have, we have the undefeated number 2 contender in Michael Morales, who's in there. Obviously, you got one of the, if not the greatest welterweight of all time in Kamaru Usman that's in there. We have Ian Garry, who a lot of people feel like is the well-deserved fighter who has been really, who has a victory over the number 1 contender, which is you. And then obviously you have the newcomer in Islam Makhachev, the double champ.
This isn't just another title fight, it's a battle fueled by revenge, legacy, and the pursuit of greatness. At UFC 330, Islam Makhachev and Ian Garry finally collided, after months of callouts, bold predictions, and rising tension. Now it's your turn. Who are you picking in this battle of revenge? Does Islam retain its title by submission, knockout, or decision? Drop your predictions in the comments below, and let us know exactly how you think this fight ends. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest and exclusive MMA content. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.